All right, it's Wednesday, May 21st. Bought some SPY 595 puts here at 973. This is on the big breakdown here. Let's go to a different chart of it here. Obviously, in the morning, after the move up, you were anticipating, the uptrend in place. You're above the weekly open of the red line. You're having a two-down failure that you want to see get above the midpoint of the prior day. Opening price action seemed to lead that way. You had a one push-up, pause, second push-up. So you had all morning long to kind of be watching it and see if we can get through the midpoint of the prior day. This is that inside bar from yesterday. We gapped down. We started to come up through it. And then there was a big reversal, very surprising, but that's what happens. So, once you had a pretty big gain here for a number of hours, very easy to do no worse than break even. If you scaled out, then, you would have broken even in a different kind of way. But once it came through the midpoint of this bar here, first bar, you kind of suspect, big red bar, then followed through, you kind of expected you would take out the lows of the day and these pre-market lows, and that's immediately what happened. And now, I wanted to see if it was just a big liquidity grab and heading up. To me, it looks like a little bit of a reversal that has some more room to go. So when it came up here and then reversed a little lower, I decided to buy some puts right here, looking for it to take out the lows of the day. We're going to see on the daily chart, we're below the weekly open now. We're reversing on the week. We have a kind of a pivot machine gun of targets all the way into this gap. And we're just going to see what happens for the last few days of the week here. Obviously, it looks like a red reversal week where we took out the high of the previous week coming through the midpoint, and we have the target into that gap. Maybe we'll go a lot lower, into next week. If we stay red and then we follow through, we'll keep an eye on that. And that's what we're kind of looking for. Today had the chance to be that inside bar failure back up, but it just can never break through the midpoint of that bar. And then you had a big intraday collapse, which at least, showed you in the very short run, we're going to come down and take out the lows of the day, pre-market lows. And now, since it's just pausing here, not really gaining a traction back to the upside, I think this could be, a bigger flush lower overall. We took out this little pivot. It's not really reversing here. And therefore, you could see all the targets down here. So you have to kind of, play the short side here if you want to give it a shot. Play the long side to start the day. And if you were kind of watching it very closely as it was coming through, the midpoint of the first bar, I think you could have aggressively bought some puts here and anticipated this kind of move and now been at no risk. To me, given the way it's acting at this level, I think it's heading lower. And again, as the week moves on and you see 3 days into the week, we're turning red with plenty of targets below, you have to now respect the downside, even though all the way up until now, I was kind of still leaning onto the upside. So there was bound to be some kind of a pullback here. We thought we might have got it on Monday after that negative news with Moody's ratings, but the market bought that up, but it was just lower lows, higher highs, and now we're making lower lows, not rebounding from here. So that means we're now going to make some more lower lows on a higher time frame, and that's the weekly chart here, and we're going to see if that leads to a 3-bar on the weekly chart by the end of the week down into this gap. So that's what seems to be unfolding here. I'm buying some puts right at this area. We'll see how things end up for the rest of the day.